Welcome back to the channel. It's from the Poke Wall. We showcase amateur athletes every day. If you're an amateur athlete would like a player spotlight, DM me for a collaboration. Today, we're talking about the AP Top 25 teams. And first of all, coming at number one is Ohio State, whose record is 6-0. And their last game, they won 34-16. And their conference record is 3-0. And they're ranked number one this week. And their next game is versus Wisconsin. Coming at number two is the U. And they come in this week with a record of 5-0. Their last game they played in-state rival Florida State and they won 28-22. Their conference record is 1-0 and their next game is against Louisville. Coming at number three is surprising is the Indiana Hoosiers, who have a record of 6-0. They went up four spots, and the last game they did an upset win against Oregon, winning 30-20. And their next game is against Michigan State. Way to go, Indiana Hoosiers. Coming in now, number four is Texas A&M, who this week has a record of 6-0 and a conference record of 3-0, and they went up one spot in the AP poll. The last game they played was against Florida West, and they won 34-17. Coming in at number five, Ole Miss with a record of 6-0. They went up one spot in the AP poll, and the last game they beat Washington State 24-21, and they have a conference record of 3-0. And the next game they play a big matchup against Georgia. Coming at number six, Alabama Crimson Tide, and this week they come in a record of 5-1, and they went up two spots in the AP poll. Last game they had a great victory against Missouri and won 27-24, and they have a conference record of 3-0, and they play a big SEC matchup against Tennessee next. Coming in at number seven is Texas Tech, and they have a record of 6-0. They went up two spots, and in the last game they played Kansas West and won 42-17. They're coming this week with a conference record of 3-0, and they play Arizona State next week. Coming in at number eight, it is the Oregon Ducks, who have an overall record of 5-1. They went down five spots after losing to Indiana in an upset 30-20, and they have a conference record of 2-1, and their next game is against Rutgers. Coming in at number nine is the Georgia Bulldogs, who this week has a record of 5-1, and they went up one spot in the AP poll. The last game they won is against Auburn, 20-10, and they have a conference record of 3-1, and they have a big SEC matchup against Ole Miss. Coming in at number 10 is the LSU Tigers, who have the record of 5-1, and they went up one spot in the AP poll. The last game they played was against South Carolina, and they won 20-10, and their conference record is 2-1. Coming in at number 11, Tennessee has a record of 5-1, and they went up one spot in the AP poll by beating Arkansas 34-31. Their conference record is 2-1, and they have another big SEC matchup against Alabama next. Coming in at number 12 is Georgia Tech, who has a record of 6-0. They went up one spot in the AP poll. In their last game, they beat Virginia Tech 35-20, and they have a conference record of 3-0, and they play Duke University next week. Coming in number 13, Notre Dame has a record of 4-2, and they went up three spots in the AP poll. The last game they played North Carolina State, and they demolished North Carolina State 36-7. And next game they play is against USC. Coming at number 14 is the Oklahoma Sooners, and this week they're entering their game 5-1 record and a conference record of 1-1, and they lost to Texas 23-6. Coming at number 15 is BYU with a record of 6-0, conference record 3-0, and BYU beat Arizona 33-27, and their next game is against Utah. Coming in at number 16 is Missouri with a record of 5-1 and a conference record of 1-1. They went down 2 points and they lost to Alabama in a thriller, 27-24. And next up for Missouri is Auburn. Coming in at number 17 is Vanderbilt with a record of 5-1. Conference play they 1-1, and they went up 3 spots, losing to Alabama 14-30. And their next game is at LSU. Coming in at number 18 is Virginia with a record of 5-1. In conference play they 3-0. Virginia beat Louisville 30-27, and their next game is against Washington State. Coming in at number 19 is South Florida with a record of 5-1. In conference play they're 2-0. South Florida beat North Texas by a whopping 63-36. Their next opponent is at Florida Atlantic, and they went up 5 spots in the AP poll. Coming in at number 20 is USC with a record of 5-1 and a conference record of 3-1. They beat Michigan 31-13, and their next game is at Notre Dame. Coming in at number 21 is Texas with a record of 4-2 and their conference play 1-1, and they beat Oklahoma 23-6, and their next game is at Kentucky. Coming at number 22 is Memphis with a record of 6-0 and a conference record 2-0. Memphis beat Tulsa by a blowout 45-7, and their next game is versus UAB. Coming at number 23 is Utah with a record of 5-1 and conference play 2-1 as they beat Arizona State 42-10, and their next game is versus BYU. Coming in at number 24 is Cincinnati with a record of 5-1 and a conference record of 3-0, and Cincinnati beat UCF 20-11, and their next game is at Oklahoma State. Last but not least, coming in at 25 is Nebraska with a record of 5-1 and a conference record of 2-1. Nebraska beat Maryland 34-31, and their next game is versus Minnesota. So for all your amateur news, subscribe to Formula Park 1 on YouTube. Thank you for your support.